Hi, I'm Zaid, co-founder at TinyStacks. TinyStacks makes it easy to create, maintain, and scale your microservices, all on your own AWS account. In this video, I'll show you how to get started and launch your first service. From the dashboard, click on Create Stack. A stack is everything needed to run your microservice. That includes the infrastructure that your service runs on, logs stored on the cloud, a pipeline that builds and deploys your code, and more. First, connect to your GitHub account. You can choose to limit access between your organizations. After coming back to TinyStacks, wait a few seconds for the page to refresh and hook up your code. You can select an existing GitHub repo or use TinyStacks to create a new one. A few frameworks are supported for new repositories. Existing repos can use any framework as long as we make sure a few settings are correct. For now, let's create a new repo. We can click on the repo name to see the code in GitHub. It's created based off of this open source template, link in the description. If you're using an existing repo, copy over the build.yaml and release.yaml files from this template. Also make sure your service runs on port 80 and that port is exposed in your Docker file. Now let's connect to AWS. This launches a CloudFormation template that creates an IAM role that lets TinyStacks manage resources for you. This only needs to be done once. When that's done, come back to TinyStacks and launch Stack. Behind the scenes, TinyStacks is creating your infrastructure and deploying it in your account. The first time a stack is launched, a CloudFormation template called CDK Toolkit will be launched. Then a stack named after your project will be launched. As your infrastructure comes up, TinyStacks will update statuses to show what's ready. Once the endpoint comes up, we can see a 200 response on the /ping path and an empty array on the /item path. On the same page, we can modify routes, environment variables, and origins for cores. You can also see an overview of the stack's architecture and add repos, stages, or new microservices. To see the pipeline in action, let's change the /ping path to return hello world instead of an empty 200. The pipeline status updates in a few seconds, and once the change is released, we see the change reflected in our endpoint. Thanks for tuning in and trying TinyStacks. We'll have more videos soon, like a deep dive into architecture and upcoming features. Happy building!